All right, so let's talk some TTFF. At the time of us recording this, this would be the final day of this year's TNT Film Festival.
Right.
Last night, and well, in your case, Ricardo, the night before, we took in, a few films. So, Ricardo, you will talk about Doubles from Ian Harnarine. This is probably the most, one of the most highly anticipated feature films to come out for this year's festival. We took in Fortune for All, which is the newest feature from our former, lecturer from UE, Yao Ramesar, the one and only. So we'll talk about that. And in between that, we will talk about PB and the Buck's Astrology Centre. This is from the talented, Sheen Lee Kit, right?
Really talented. Yeah, great stuff.
So, Doubles. Didn't get around to seeing it, unfortunately, because there was the debut screening.
Which I was originally planning to do, but I scrapped it.
And then the UE Film Program decided out of the blue, and they announced it on the morning of, hey, we're gonna run this for free. But I couldn't make it. I was under the weather, and I didn't want to call you and be like, boy, show it for free, boy. You know? So
no, but I already had my ticket for Harnarine Boone, and again, if you had to come real good to get me to leave. South Trinidad now, so
of course, I can be like, boy, free movies, boy. And last thing with free movies, because the following Sunday that would be Republic Day. Yeah, all movies were for free on Movie Town.
Right.
I don't know if they say all, so I'm assuming that Fortune for All, which had its official premiere, was free too. I don't know, whatever. But point is, we took in PB and the Buck and Fortune for All last night. That would be the 26th. And Ricardo, you saw Doubles at Naparima Bowl on the 25th, right?
Yeah.
So without wasting any time, Doubles. I'll just say with the preamble, of course, it's based off of the great short film Doubles with Slight Pepper, now available on YouTube. I saw it. I think we both saw it during our time at
I saw it. I saw it and first met him.
Oh, okay. I never met Ian.
Yeah, I met him in Yao Ramesar's class.
Oh,
the directing class.
Okay.
Two directing class.
Good.
Yeah. So it was, things come together, right?
Right.
What a coincidence.
But fix up. Talk about Doubles.
Yeah. I met him about 10 years ago. I loved that short. I thought it was great. Really comes together. He talks about this, and I'll mention this later. And this is something I really respect him for what he did, right? Yeah, so Doubles is about Danny, played by Sanjay Voodoo. He's a local actor. Most of his career is he's a lawyer, I think, in his actual day job, but he has a well-established career. I think his dad used to be on Calabash Alley, I think. His dad's actor.
All right,
he's a second generation kind of guy. And
his dad being Kenneth Voodoo.
Yeah. And he plays the main character. It's about Indian men pathology. Father bust out and leave him. He want to sell the land, but he get a deed for the land. He didn't know what to do. He don't have the power to the deed to the land. And the father's kind of trashed a little bit. The father abandoned him. And then he goes to Canada to basically get the money back, to find out what's going on. Come to find out that the father's sick. And then it goes from there. And he now is just him back and forth about whether or not how to deal with the father and the sickness. He meets this girl who works with the father, but he realizes the father kind of more rich than he. Is this girl from Guyana. And the mother died some years back. And there's some stories all around. And I'm just going to get the bad out of the way first. Before we move on to the good stuff. There's much more good than bad, but let me just get the bad out of the way. At least the stuff I annoyed by. Small things, not to do with the film necessarily. First thing. So, Naparima Bowl. Guys, please, that blow up screen thing ain't holding. Sorry. They could have put it, to me, Naparima Bowl have a door shape, or even the whole screen door on the outside. They should have filled that whole thing there. Get that projector to put that. We living in the age of 4K projectors. If K-Dana could have do it back in the 90s and the 80s, you could have do it now. I don't know. I find that little small screen thing not holding. Anyway, when it was also, they kind of knew what happened, but it ended up happening in the middle of the film. Rain started to fall, so all we had to go inside and continue the film about halfway, a little past halfway through the film. That's how it happened. So we had to go and watch the rest of the film, whatever. And that's it. in the film itself, the budget showed. It's still at a little weak, somewhat of a relatively low budget, all things considered. From what I understand, it is about 280,000 Canadian it costs.
Okay.
So, I don't know, is that in TT? Translate that, multiply by, 5 or whatever it is?
I know.
Yeah, whatever. And that's already priced, that's what it looked like. Because it looked cheap. The local scenes feel a bit slapdashed. But all of the Canadian stuff is where it really comes together and really works. Choice of music was okay at times, but other times it didn't really work. And I find some of those edits and montages could have been a little more lively for the most part. So like they had Baron, It's Christmas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As a song during Christmas. But here's the problem. We don't really see much Christmas. We just see Toronto in the snow. And it don't really show a clear Christmas imagery necessarily in that montage necessarily.
And not even like Christmas lights in the
No,
background?
that's what I didn't particularly notice that now. I just know, well, it's Toronto in the snow time. All right, I get it, I suppose. They had Cardinal official Bacardi slang song playing.
Oh,
that's
okay.
when he translated. Yeah, that's when he was moving. He went in the airport. And you could clearly tell they do the shots in real guerrilla style. In some of them shots, like, okay, they just hide a camera in a corner there and record for 2 seconds. Whatever. That would feel like, at least to me. With these airport shots. It feels cheap at times. But that's bad. That's it. Nothing else, no problem other than that. Acting, pretty good. Everybody across the board is great.
Nice.
The main star is pretty good. You can tell that he doing the very theatery, shouting, Trini accent kind of thing. But I get the idea is that it's him holding back rage kind of attitude about the whole thing now. Because his relationship with the father is very strained, to put it charitably. Errol Sitahal is fantastic in this movie.
Nice.
Truly, really, really good. Like, he just plays such a pitiful figure. Because, yeah, when they get into what going on with him, it's like, wait, boy. His father's kind of trash a little bit, though. But, he's still somebody who with your sympathy, he's still very sympathetic. Still, a lot of pathos that really works. The chemistry between him and Sanjeev is quite good. And then that comes. And then, the actress, I forget her name, who's playing the other character. Rashana Kababash, I think.
Okay.
She is very good as well. And the three of them, that's the dynamic. The main dynamic is the three of them. They're working for this kind of, somewhat kind of sleazy Canadian guy, white guy kind of thing. And, it's all of them in this kitchen. And plenty of them do our papers. But they had like this one scene with a Pakistani guy who have the papers. He real up there in terms of the best culinary school, blah, blah, blah. But he still working in a shitty kitchen, them kind of thing. They get into all these little things about Canada and, the immigrant experience and the Caribbean experience and so on. So it still feels a little on the dated end of things because I'm hard pressed to believe that, well, it has so much of an underclass for Caribbean people in Canada still, but that's still true for the most part. So coming on to the end of the film, it's somewhat subversive. Like what they do with the ending. It's like, oh shit, that kind of drill do. Like, okay, what they do there? Alright, it's not a storybook movie. And the man went out the way to say, look, it's not a storybook bullshit. It's not like some super dark ending or anything like that, but it's surprisingly just realistic. And it's just a solid script all around in that thing. So through the interview and the handful of questions he got in the ending, this was kind of effectively the original vision of what the short became.
Okay.
This is what the original vision of that. He had a 50-minute script back then. And that was chopped down to what we saw as a short. And then he took that now and then expanded it back up to what we see today, which is roughly 90 minutes. And it just comes together. Again, the budget holds it back. But he said something, and this make me again. I am Mr. Bad Guy capitalist, right? But Black Dynamite.
Mr. Bad Guy.
Yeah, but Black Dynamite. I'm also a capitalist, right? So I'm not trying to say above this, but from an art standpoint, I really respect his decision because this could have come out, and I was thinking about it. This could have easily come out 10 years ago, get a much bigger budget if he did his compromise on who the stars were.
Right.
That's it. But it would obviously be less authentic. Right? And he wanted a very authentic experience. He talked about how close it, personal to his story this is, especially in dealing with his dad. It's not the same narrative, but it's roughly the same conceit, emotionally at least. And it really, really comes together really well. As I say, the three of them, Sitahal, Rashana, and what's his name, Budu, three of them they work so well, they have great chemistry together. It's a great emotional arc for everybody, and where it goes is simple. You don't need to, it's no sugarcoated, no storybook. There's no Disney nonsense. He make it really, really and comes together really well. And again, props for Bacardi slang in his song. Bacardi slang did. That was hard.
Still a classic, right?
Still a classic.
Don't mind coming 2001, right?
Yeah, And but it really is. I just really enjoyed this film for what it was, and what he was trying to do, and it just seeing a filmmaker just pull off a vision, and get it done. I can't be mad at that. Rating, for me personally, I could overlook the budgetary limitation. Once you overlook that, it gets like a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
I really enjoyed this one. I didn't think I would like it. I love the shot. It is a little hamstrung by the budget. You can tell. Little stuff like still small things like cutaway shots and reaction shots and things they could have put in. But that stuff like that don't bother me. Given once you get into the main thrust of the narrative, all of that stuff you could ignore and move on from that. Stuff like that don't bother me. Once the main conceit is well pulled off, and he more than did that in spades in terms of the execution. Right. And I really, really thoroughly enjoyed and appreciated a movie like this existed. Kind of loved it.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I will bring it up at the end of the Fortune for All review, right? But I imagine that the reception for this film at Naparima Bowl was largely positive, right?
Yeah. People would love it. That is one woman who had like this big emotional thing because she was like, she didn't know that had stories like this, and it's all about generational trauma, and she going off and it's a whole thing. But that's what the movie for is for people like that. Mm-hmm. There are two people in particular who was talking about that. Who she don't know, she never imagined a movie would have been so emotionally engaging because she just come off the street and so on. So she just hear about it and just so amazing. They're like, all right, what? The man do your job, good.
That's
that way they for. Yeah, that way they for. So you man do your thing. I really can't have nothing major to complain about it. I just thought this was just overall what it should be, really excellent. And again, the big part is that he didn't compromise himself like from a vision standpoint, and that is the stuff I hear for, as they say. Because again, he could have get a bigger star, he could get a big name, something. They could have get a much bigger budget, and they could have made this 10 years ago when it would have probably been a lot more relevant, conceit-wise, and in terms of the idea of the Caribbean diaspora and whatnot. But no, sorry to say, that is not how the real world is, and we work through that reality. And props to you and Harnarine. Really, really fantastic stuff overall.
All right, well, that's great, man.
Yeah.
So, in between features now, let's talk for a bit about PB and the Buck.
Yes.
Buck's Astrology Centre, right?
Yes.
So I'll just try to give a quick premise, right? So this, of course, is from Sheen Lee Kit, director, writer, and animator, right?
Yeah.
So we're just pretty much introduced to this, well, basically the Astrology Centre, right? It's in the title, right? I love how they set it up early on with this full, those like one of those astrology ads that you usually see when if you're from Trinidad, if you watch shows like Beyond the Tape, they usually run those kind of ads, right? I love how like aesthetically it looks just like that, right? With the symbols, and you're just seeing like this kind of spacey background and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's like, you're experiencing.
If you remember the days of Miss Cleo.
Yes,
or
it's like that.
we local Miss Cleo. Is his name? Gosh.
That's Trevor Sears.
Trevor Sears.
I understand, but he's more about medicine.
Yeah, no, right. But it's the same alternative, that space. It's the same space, I think. That same intellectual space for the most part. Yeah.
Right. And in a nutshell, it's just, PB, aka Papa Boa, and we have the Buck, who is, Winston, that's his name, right?
Right.
Yes, they start a little astrology business at, a bar that they're running, so like when nobody coming through to buy any drinks, they're downstairs and they're doing astrology stuff, right? So this one Indian guy show up because, he had to bank and, he missed the girl. So it's like, hey, I want you to channel the spirit of her.
Yeah, what they do with it is really funny. He's the side man.
It is.
That is very funny.
Yeah, so just jumping into my thoughts on it, right? I really, really dug this way. Instantly, I got a Adult Swim vibe from it, which is great, where it's, and all right, I hate to say this, right? Trini people, even though it's a cartoon, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily for kids, right? So this right here is straight TV PG.
Yeah, very adult.
Use, TV ratings, right? It's like that. The humor is very racy. That's the best way I could say it. It's about Tabanka and Horning and Red Woman and Zesta and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's how they throw all these references in. There's a lot of blinking and missing moments. It's like case in point, like there's a T-shirt, slight spoiler, with instead of high-low, you're seeing low-high, nation's most expensive food store.
Yeah.
So if you're like, a millennial like myself and Ricardo, you remember back in the 90s and 2000s, when high-low was like real big, you used to have like this commercial, like a jingle. And high-low, it was the nation's favorite food store. So that's how he referenced that, right? So it's that whole, I grew up in the 90s and I remember these ads on TV, so let's make fun of that, right? Even right down to, just poking fun at those astrology ads that you see today, right?
Yeah.
Voice acting, great throughout.
Really good,
yeah. I love just how sardonic, that's a term I'm going to bring up with Fortune for All, right?
Yeah.
The humor it's very quick. It's very like, assessor and this thing, and it's just how sarcastic.
Yeah, it's really fast, that fast, again, millennial era humor of just dropping, short lines and a quick throwaway line here or there just as a side, little jokes in the background. It's just, the fire hose of humor approach.
Exactly.
It's in terms of the animation style, it's that, if you remember back in the early 2000s, even in the 90s, early 80s, the macromedia flash animation style.
Macromedia,
but it went back in the earlier Squiggle Vision. If you know what Squiggle Vision was, the original Simpsons was like this. Yes. Dr. Katz, if you remember that show, I vaguely remember that show. And then a show that I really like on adults, home movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's that type of animation, right? Is that style, and it that style really works and lends to the material really well.
Yeah.
And the main thing is that it's funny. It's legit funny. When it gets funny, when it's really funny is when it does the realism stuff of, you have Buck who playing the ridiculous character and he doing this performativity. But then you have PB who's like, hey, wait, what? Like he does he's a real, human, the voice of the audience with perspective.
Yeah, he in the back getting drunk. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, but he makes like just some symbolizing, just a really funny observational humor. This how this fella just super toxic. And it's a problem.
Yeah, and we have to stress that that's super toxic.
Right, but when they go with that, is really funny. And it just some nice. Another thing why it works is good, commentary, social commentary on gender, and it have all these like great jokes and references that feels quite modern and relevant.
Yeah,
so it don't feel dated. None of the humor. I was glad because I was really worried. These stuff just get kind of little skeevy and a little issue, and you know how to make that joke now. You can stop.
Like case in point, like they throw a Tida joke and it was funny. Like,
it was a funny joke.
Felt relevant.
When they do it, when they follow up with this material, it's like they make it work.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I thought this was great. Rating, as a short, probably like a perfect score. Though. Like it's exactly what it needs to be. Funny. It didn't feel slow. It didn't slow or drag at any point. It has a really great. What do you call it? Just a great punchline at the end, like where it goes at the end. That last bit is like, this is real hard though. And I give it more or less a perfect score in terms of just as a short.
Yeah.
Just as to introduce me to this world. And if this, like a pilot, effectively, if you had to sell me as a pilot, you could sell this. Like, I really hope this man goes somewhere. Just this boy has some talent.
Yes. This last point I want to make before I get to rating. Also, like the bits of anime worship, if you will.
Right.
Like case in point, there's a Fish Island close up of Buck's face. I was like, all right, that's very anime, very Death Note-ish. Like, when they want to touch on the psychosis of a character, like he's tripping off, like tripping balls. No, you do that, right? Also, like how they do, I would call them commercial breaks. So like where the story stops, like the first act stops, and you'll just see, Papa Boss, so, and then they feed out, and then Buck, so, right? That's very anime inspired as well, right? But yeah, like you, Ricardo, I absolutely enjoyed this. The audience that we were a part of last night.
Yeah, they loved it.
We weren't on the floor rolling, laughing and all that, but we got the jokes. It came hard, it came fast, and we were enjoying all this. So yes, I am gonna give this a high score as well. 5 out of 5 for me, man. See this before you die, right?
Yeah, it was hard.
Again, I'm going back to Adult Swim, right? And just touching on what you said about it being a pilot of sorts, right? Yeah, I think that, if the show is lucky enough to have its own series, right? Like something like 15 minutes long or whatever, like each episode, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I could see that doing just like an hour of material total. So that's like about 10 minutes, 6 episodes, 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
or something like that. You know what I mean? Because how long this was in total time? Was it around time?
11 minutes.
Right, about that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my head, I was like, yeah, about that. If you do like a first season, 6 episodes, that could work. And just the main thing, keep it funny. Keep it funny, keep it fresh, punch up, get your comedy people to punch up your writing, know what kind of jokes you have to make, and it's genuinely smart and funny stuff. This was great.
Also, last thing, points for the sound design though. That's the use of sound at some points though. I was like,
it also reminds me of a little bit, they have this Nigerian fella, Judosi. It have that style of humor. If you look up Judosi, he's a Nigerian guy who's do animation. That motherfucker, he funny as hell. He real funny. But it give me that like a kind of Trinidadian version of that.
Yeah.
It feel a lot like that.
Yeah. So Shane, you knocked out the park with this one. I want to see more, like just more of these episodes in the near future. Like have a full season and like. Just put it out, and believe you me, the reception is gonna be just as positive as when we were there for that screening last night, right? So just to close things off with that screening, let's talk about Fortune for All, right? So this is the newest feature from Yao Ramesar, the legendary filmmaker and screenwriter, and our lecturer back in the We Film program days, right?
Yeah.
So this was one that I was looking out for a while, right? Since it was announced as 3.5 Brothers, right? And I'll never forget the first trailer of it, coming soon, and there's a question mark, right? Because of the pandemic back then, right? But yeah, it's here, and I'll just give the synopsis quick. I'll just kind of keep it short and sweet, right? So it's centered on these 3 siblings, right? 2 brothers and a sister, right? And this is following the death of the oldest of those 3 siblings, twin brother, right?
Right.
And it's just basically them just trying to figure out how to move past this grief, because basically they haven't seen each other in years, right? So they've just sort of met each other. We kind of find out after the fact that there is this pandemic of sorts, like a virus basically.
Right.
But it's never really stated what it is, right? Because just keep in mind that this was conceived and a majority of it was filmed before COVID, right? But because of the film's release being in 2023, we'll just work with, okay, it's COVID, right? So that's pretty much what killed that brother, right? The second brother is also going up for elections, basically to become the next prime minister. And the sister is just trying to figure out, like, just in terms of profession, what she should do, right? She's had experiences in different fields, that's all I'll say without spoiling anything. And she just has, trust issues and whatnot. But, it's just about her trying to figure out what the next step is. And yeah, it's just those 3 just trying to figure out what their next course is going to be, right? Just kind of looking back at their family history, the stuff with their dad, and well, there's a subplot involving a plane that the dad acquired, and it just sort of brings up this recurring theme of trying to escape, right? So ever so often you see like these drone shots, and it's set, in this sort of like beachfront area, if you will, right? So it's all about like escape and flying away and all that kind of stuff. And the brother who passed away now, well, he had similar dreams as well. So it's now, will these 3 siblings do the same thing? Are they going to stay where they are and squabble and make excuses for themselves, or are they going to try and move on, right? And I'll stop there, right? So Ricardo and I, again, because we were taught by Yao, right? We said after, when the film wrapped up, that, yeah, this is the most Yao that we've seen from, in terms of like a feature film from him, right? Because we haven't seen, a film from him in a long while, right? And we can't honestly say that we've seen all of them, right? But yeah, this is the most Yao Ramesar film that we've seen, and that's like the best compliment we could give it, in the sense that even though premise-wise, it feels very mainstream, right? And it starts off pretty mainstream as well. But yeah, if you're familiar with Yao's work, this is very art house, right? Which is fine, right? But I have to stress this because I know there'll be a lot of people that will dismiss this show right out the gate because, we don't like, art house films. It's too artsy and too pretentious. But I do like art house films in particular when they tell a great story, a coherent story, or at least just give my experience that I never really felt before. And while premise-wise, it's not the most original story ever. I mean, Wes Anderson have touched on, just dysfunctional households trying to move on past the death of a particular relative. Look, case in point, Royal Tenenbaums, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's like that, right? So, and it also has a kind of a Wes Anderson feel to it, too. Not so much with the color schemes and whatnot, and just how perfect everything is shot, right, symmetrically, but just these quirky, that's the best term I could use, individuals.
Yeah, how they talk to each other.
How they talk to each other, how they kind of feel like, no, this is me, and all right, thanks for the advice, but I'm gonna just do things my own way, and it's that kind of vibe that you get throughout this, right? So for what it is, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it is, but I will say that for people who go in completely blind and people who have no clue about Yao's previous films, yeah, they're gonna come out of this feeling kind of confused or just like weirded out a bit, right? Because this is far from conventional. Yes, the premise is pretty much simple, but the execution is rather different, right? There's I kind of call them vignettes basically, right? So it's just like these one-on-one conversation between siblings, and they'll just talk about a certain thing, and the humor in this, or I should say the dialogue, is very, very sardonic, though. It's very dry, very ironic, right? It's just these characters who are holding on to burdens, just and regrets over the years now. So they're like, yeah, I doing this now. I don't care what you think, right? So case in point, the brother who's going up for election, who's played by Nikolai Salcido, right? Yeah, he was actually great in this.
Yeah.
I find, right? He just nails these, like this whole. You could tell like there's a lot going on internally, right? And he just embodies that very well, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just those moments that work for me. Michael Cherry, who plays the older brother, slash twin of the one who passed away. Yeah, this is actually the most sarcastic I've ever seen him as a character, right? Just the way how he moves, the way how he talks or whatnot. He's very articulate with the way how he expresses himself. Like case in point, there's a line where he says, "Big boys don't cry, big boys weep like a broken wasserine."
Yeah, the character's a bit of a. I don't know if this was intentional, but I got the vibe he's a bit of a hack writer.
Yeah. Right, and also too, he's this author, and there's this. Even though I felt the film should have touched on this a little bit more, him having to release a book, but he's taking forever and a day to do so. So there's a moment where he's like, the book's coming, like wait now, right? Also, just to touch on the film itself again, this is like the first R-rated film that I've seen from Yao, though. Because there's some bombs dropped, right? Some curse words, right? So if you get picky when you hear F and C words, then you'll be like, ooh, you know what I mean? But I felt that it fits with the sarcastic nature of it all, right? Because if you look at it as a pandemic film, like, yeah, we home, and oh gosh, what we could do, and I here with my family, and I don't want to be by all day, I want to go and make money, like, and life sucks, and people dying, then it works, right? But let's get a few negatives out of the way. I felt that, I'm not saying that the virus itself should be prominent, but I felt like there should have been an instance of it, like a hint of it at the very beginning. It could just be like a simple news report, right? Because there's a news report near the end of the film. I'm not going to spoil what it entails, but yeah, we could have gotten that hint there. When we get to, the only mention of the virus itself is during this extended final sequence. That's the best way I could sum it up, right? So yeah, for people who probably went in not even thinking about the word virus, they'll just be like, wait, there was a virus? And oh, that's what happened. So I felt they could have set that up early on, right? Also too, I felt like just technically, the screening that we went to, there was a Q&A, and Yao himself said that, there has to be post-production done. I noticed that sound design was sketchy throughout, though. What I mean, like, there'll be moments where, like, there'll be outdoor scenes, right? Case in point, there's moments at the beach itself. There's one moment near a road, and I was hearing a car stereo and a song that was playing and whatnot, right? But, they try to cancel it in post, by, canceling out that one sound. and they try to raise the people's vocals as well too, well, the actors' vocals as well. And you could hear it. You could really hear like when the vocal levels raise and whatnot. And but you also want to kind of keep the background noise, so whether it's crashing waves or just breeze or whatever, you want to keep that. But it just felt like it just needed some extra mixing, or I should say mixing in general. So I felt like there was that, right? Also on the visual side of things, right? Well, I should shout out to colleague of mine, former colleague of mine, Shebes. He was the DP for this,
Right.
and yeah, he came through with some great
low ISO.
yeah, low ISO, but scenery and whatnot. I really dug like the just the framing of shots and whatnot. But there were a few moments where it felt like just the visual, that's like the overall look of it is a little inconsistent in a few points. So like one scene will look kind of hazy, a little blurry, and the other scene would just look like normal, and that would be like in the same sequence itself, right? So there's that. Also, lastly, well, I should say a couple more things. Narratively, it is a bit spotty. So I understand it's just these passing by and its characters just trying to figure themselves out, right? But there'll be moments where we will jump to a character who's like doing a monologue. So case in point, you actually see their mother actually, and she's doing this monologue about, well, I call it a monologue, right?
Yeah, so Rebecca Ned's character, right?
Yeah,
right.
Like talking to the brother who's going up for prime minister, like, oh, come here, call him up, blah blah blah. But she has this Jamaican accent, which that actually makes sense if you know about Yao's ancestry, right? So yeah, but it just kind of comes, like those moments just kind of come and go, and I understand it's artistic, right? But I don't know, it just felt like they just could have tweaked those scenes a little bit so they just don't feel peppered in the way how they were, right? And also, this lastly, without spoiling much though, I felt the outro, needed some work. It just ran for way too long.
Right.
Honestly, it just felt like it was a scene
they could have cut
left.
They could have cut most of that.
Yeah, it was left on the cutting room floor, and I felt like the placement of it just felt odd to me. And it just ran on for far too long though, like just way too long. You know what I mean? We really could have trimmed that out, right? That being said, though, just flaws out of the way, right? Because remember, the show itself needs to be tweaked more, needs a bit more post-production. I thought acting-wise, everybody just delivered. They did what it is they have to do. I forgot to mention Samara Lalu. She was great in it as well. Just trying to move on with her life as well. But it's really Michael and Nikolai's characters who are front and center. But Samara does her thing as well.
Yeah.
I love how she bounces off Michael and Nikolai as well. I could tell they were having fun on set too, especially like just delivering these crass, kind of sarcastic lines as well, And I just applaud the fact that, yeah, it is sardonic. It is ironic. It is like, yeah, we just don't know what we're going to do, right? And yeah, I like when shows could do that. Could just say, yeah, this is a character who just don't know what they're going to do, and maybe they figure it out, maybe they don't. Maybe you care for them, maybe you don't, but that's just the nature of the story, and that's what it is, right? So yeah, I got the intent, I got the message, I got what it was about. Just a few pieces of this, narrative odds and ends could have been added to it, but yeah, for what it is, this is again just the most Yao film that I've seen. Very ambitious in terms of its story and execution. It's mainstream in a sense, and it gives the impression of that at first, but it's very artistic, and it's one of those things where you just have to accept it for what it is, or just not, I guess, but
yeah.
I did, because I know Yao's work at, so I was familiar with it, right? And I actually applaud the fact that, yes, I'm not gonna, like, in his case, he didn't dumb his style or vision down to please the masses. Like, this is my film, take it or leave it, right? It is what it is.
Yeah, because I just mentioned the last film about the lacking of the no compromise with that vision.
Mm-hmm.
This one is also a non-compromising vision as well.
Yeah, exactly. So before I get to rating, right? So I'll bring up the point that, well, something I was going to bring up with doubles, even though I didn't see it. It's something that Ricardo and I talk about a lot. That's the idea of after the festival is done, where else, I should say, can people, citizens here in Trinidad and Tobago, who can see these films? And I was hoping, maybe, to you, cinema owners, y'all could just run these films in theaters for a while, And I think that even though I haven't seen Doubles, I think that and Fortune Fall could be screened, you know what I mean? And I think people will come and see it because it's local and it's giving you an experience that you don't usually see. It's like how you said with that person who responded with Doubles, like, oh, I never see something like that before, and then no local films could touch on that, you know? I think that could be a good draw in itself, right? And I guess in the case of Fortune Fall, it's a artsy film in a sense, but it's touching on real emotions and real characters and whatnot. So it's not your typical Hollywood film. And even in the Q&A, Yao brought up, it's not a Hollywood film. It doesn't even have a Hollywood ending. You know what I mean? But I think just that in itself should be a reason why, show it and let people see it and be aware that there are lots of possibilities as to the directions where we could take our films, right, in the future, right? So I think I ramble on enough. For me, rating-wise, I'm going to give this a strong 3.5 to a light 4, man. This is worth checking out.
Right.
It would help if you are at least familiar with Yao's Oval. But if you're not, just remember this is more art house than mainstream, right? Just go in with that. But if you are familiar with his work, it's one of those love it or hate it kind of films. But I think that still, just with the execution and the vision and just the effort put into it, though, you will come out of it like, this was something different. You don't really see these films, out there. And I'm glad that like in my case, I'm glad that something unique and special like this can exist within our, in terms of like the film output that we put out there, right, every year. So that's pretty much it. But Ricardo, I ramble on enough. So your thoughts on Fortune Fall?
So I make the joke with you. It reminded that old Arrested Development bit. Dead dove do not eat. And then when he opened the bag, I don't know what I expected. And that was me with this. I was this is not insulting Yao necessarily because it was. I went in thinking, wait, Yao gonna make a mainstream movie. Let me see what it is. And it's definitely not that.
Nope.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, well, that is that is a film made by Yao Ramesar. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. It has, again, uncompromising vision, clear meaning and what you're trying to go for. But as I say, it has a bunch of technical issues for what it is. And I got into it, like about halfway, it dragged at parts. I enjoyed it for what it was approach, and then as you mentioned, it does really remind me of Wes Anderson's stuff. Actually, more remind me of the Jarling Limited over Royal Tenenbaums, to be honest. In terms of the family stuff, family dynamic, the brothers concept, just that whole having the father hang over their head kind of thing, and then it reminded me of something called The Color of Pomegranates. That's a whole
heard of that
art film kind of thing of it cutting together and very poetic in its nature.
What country is it from? Not Czechoslovakia.
No,
I know it's European.
Armenian.
Armenian. Okay.
Yeah, it's Armenian because I was the Armenian poet. But it feels like that. So the joke I make is that it's what if Wes Anderson remade, The Color of Pomegranates kind of thing. Like it's that, and it is very Yao. It is very similar to Sister God. It's just a Sister God with better production value.
Yeah.
Very remind me of that a lot. It comes together. But Michael Cherry is quite good in it. Nikolai... Salcedo, yeah. He's pretty good in it as well. And it works. I enjoyed for what it was. It's decent material. Yao is a filmmaker's filmmaker, and you already get that. You already get that that vibe from it of the actors really enjoying the experience and coming together and having to just pull together the skills in the way they did. And I can't say I super loved it because I wish it was more just from a technical standpoint more together and solid as a product.
More streamlined.
More streamlined, right. But if that he could smooth out those edges and make it work, it's a product for what it is. Rated. I get like about a 6 out of 10, closer to 7. Closer to 7 over 6. I really felt it just needed to slice up the technical issues, and if they did that, it'll bump it up a couple points. But I get where he's going for and why, and what it is he's trying to say. It is a personal experience. This is a very tacit movie. Let's just put it like that. You gotta watch it to see it. It's difficult to explain, and it is challenging in that sense. But that is typical art house film stuff. So I don't really mind it for that. Y'all do you think? I can't be mad at it yet. You do you think?
Right.